All right, are we live, Toxic?
We are live.
All right. Well, let's pick some names and get this lobby filled up. Why don't you do the honors? Got them all mixed up for you.
All right. First one is
What's the name?
Aaron.
A
Arryn.
Arryn. All right. Let's see if Aaron is on, and send them an invite.
Invite is sent.
All right. We've got the first slot filled. Let's see. Yep, they are in.
All right. Welcome to the team.
Okay. Let's draw number 2.
Number 2 is Crimson. Let's get you in the game here.
Crimson. Nice work. All right, they're there. That's 2.
Invite sent.
All right. I'll mix that up real good.
We have Swift Spice. I like it. Now, I just got to double check. Is that one word or 2? Did you write that as one word or 2? Just double check.
I think it's all one word. Pretty sure. Dang it. That's probably important. Yes.
One word it is.
All right. That's 3 slots. 2 more. Oh, almost knocked one out. All right. Welcome. Oh, Swift Spice Platinum Division. Ah. How did that happen?
You guys always luck out with the low ranks.
I know,
Yes, we do. Who's the next?
All right, our fourth.
Aegis?
Aegis it is.
All right. Aegis.
GS.
And they're on.
Nice.
All right, that's 4. Got 1 more.
All right. Our 5th is Corn Wizard.
Corn Wizard. Excellent summoner's name.
One word or 2?
Let's go with 1. Pretty sure they were all 1. Yes. 2. Okay. That could be 5, but we're still waiting on Aegis, is that right? Looks like they have not accepted the invite.
We are waiting on both of them, Aegis and Corn Wizard, to accept.
Okay. Well, let's give that a couple of minutes. And we will go back into the hat if we don't have that filled soon. So, all right. And we have a special treat today. MyStar, you want to fill us in on what's going on outside of just maybe us putting a 1 on our side of the scorecard?
So outside of a 1 coming on the scorecard, which I'm a little dubious as to whether that's going to happen, but we've made a few replacements in our team so far. But so just quickly a quick round of introductions. We've got on the left of your screen, we've got Gahern. Second from the left, you've got Coaches, Toxic Hawk in the middle with the rather toxic hairdo, Meltix, and then Zaps on the end. And then joining us on the stream tonight, we've actually got some of the development team that were actually responsible for making the featured game mode Ascension, along with many of your other favorites such as Doombots of Doom, Snowdown, and Earth Mode. And we've got them just joining us via voice from the US office. And on the call, we've got Chaga, Latency, Ponce, Riot Case, and Buff Me Please. How are you guys doing tonight? Is it nice and early for you?
Yeah. Quite early. Glad to be here, though.
I'm always up this time of day.
Yeah, really, actually, that's a good point because of the, yeah.
All right, so we're just waiting for these last couple of guys to join, but they're not. So maybe it might be time to quickly fish back into the hat for this game, and we'll see about getting some replacements in.
All right.
It's a good idea.
Aegis and Corn Wizard, sorry guys. You might have to come back for the second round.
You gotta be kidding. Atomic Tomato. This guy.
I think it's tomato. Atomic tomato, buddy.
Definitely tomato.
He is not
Tomato.
actually online by the looks of it. Because he's actually on my friends list.
That's a 0.
That's a 0. One word or two?
So while we're doing the
It's
name
one word.
drawing, we might throw a couple of questions at the Ascension developers. So for those of you watching, we've got a forum thread going now on the OCE forums, which you can post in if you'd like to ask them a question, and I will be watching that. So just please do post your questions. But we've got a first one, which is probably a good intro. Occasionally Dead asks, what does working at Riot Games in your department involve? And what kind of prerequisites are good to have before you apply at a job at Riot?
Wow, it's a pretty broad question. Do you want to grab that one, James?
Yeah, sure. I work in QA. I do QA at Riot is kind of unique, where half of our job is about testing and making sure the software works. The other half is kind of making sure that we understand the game and understand how players feel about it and what they like and what they don't like, so that we can help with development and kind of head off exploits or things that are not fun ahead of time. So, you know, one of the things that's really good, I guess, prereq for QA at Riot would be a really good understanding of the game mechanics. That's pretty key. But a second one is kind of knowing what generally people like, what they don't like, and being able to communicate that, working well with others. I think it's pretty critical.
Communication is pretty good for QA. It's pretty handy.
Yeah.
It's always a bonus when you can talk to other people. Rowan and Brian, Alex, what do you guys think from like the design perspective?
Yeah, on the design side, I mean, prerequisites. I mean, obviously, be passionate about video games. That's kind of a prerequisite, but I guess that's probably something we can assume for most of the people on the stream right now. But develop like a good, critical set of tools so that you can actually like understand why you think things work the way they do or why sometimes they don't. It's not as obvious as it sounds. And then, I mean, just I guess we're kind of in a special spot with the work we do, but the same classic like requisite for like recommendation and make stuff, and that's what we kind of have the opportunity to do on a like weekly basis, is just make weird stuff up and make it work.
Sounds awesome. I know it's certainly a passion of mine seeing a lot of this stuff get developed and getting a little bit of a sight behind the scenes. What do you guys find it's like working on the featured game modes in particular, as opposed to working on Summoner's Rift or Howling Abyss and things like this?
So I think the stuff we do on the feature game modes is, as Alex said, we're a little bit of a different beast to some of the other teams. We're more, say, like self-contained. It's kind of like a small indie dev team inside the league team, I guess, because we work on prototyping and iterating on these sorts of gameplay modes, every couple of weeks or every couple of months, until we find, what's fun and what sticks. So we've got, programmers, and we've got artists, and we've got designers and QA and all sorts of different people, like wearing many hats blended together on one team. So it's kind of, it's different from some of the other teams probably, which work on League of Legends. Don't know. That'd be fairly accurate, James, you reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I'm relatively new to the team. I've only been there for a couple of months now, and the one thing that I find really cool is that we as guys on the play team interact with a whole bunch of other teams. We see, what champions are coming out that'll go with the modes. We work with the art guys for special visual effects. We work with other guys for custom HUDs. We work with the environments guys if we have questions about, things that we want to do inside a map. We have platform engineers, and we talk to guys in the different regions about like, hey, like this is coming out, this is what it's going to look like from your guys' side, from the hardware perspective, so we don't accidentally melt one of your servers. We talk to the live service guys all the time, so I feel like we have a lot of interaction with a bunch of different groups that some of the other development teams within League don't always do, because they're completely encapsulated. They can do everything they need to within their group, and I really like the fact that we can reach out and collaborate and try different stuff with different teams. I
just
found
realized
that's really
that
refreshing.
Riot OCE is the only one not rocking the perfect Ascension icon on the loading screen.
That's very disappointing.
Dude, just get your stuff together. I mean,
What's up with that, Coaches?
Oh, we had a mishap earlier.
you had a mishap. You fed.
There was a mishap. Yeah, I basically the mishap was I missed out on the game where everybody got the perfect Ascension.
Right, so you missed out on getting carried. Gotcha.
Yeah, a little bit.
You don't have an honor banner either. Or frame from
This is
last
just,
season.
Wow,
So telling.
There's so many
telling.
tears in that Amumu picture.
Yeah,
It tells
I am
the
a
story,
crying
doesn't
mummy.
it?
Just a little bit.
So I don't want to be hard on coaches or anything like that, but it should be pointed out as well. And I just want to remind him at the start of the game, because there was a little mishap last week. Make sure you build an Amumu build on Amumu and not a Vi build this time.
Ouch.
That's a good tip. I'm going to take that one to heart.
People in the stream are caught onto it too. They're like, report that Amumu doesn't have perfect Ascension.
Yeah.
All right, so as we're loading into game now, we're just waiting on the first teleports to come in, and people are pinging around the map and things. I guess one of the first questions that we saw from the community is with the layout for this map. Was it a natural fit to just go straight onto the Crystal Scar for this game mode, or did you kind of come up with the mode first of ascending and then find that this was the best fit?
So there's a feel for the kind of gameplay that we were aiming for Ascension, to have this kind of brawly, skirmishy, almost a la Team Deathmatch style feel to it. So we know we needed a map shape, which was probably different to like either Howling Abyss or SR, something which was symmetrical, that lent itself towards sort of unbiased gameplay on both sides of the map, and just being circular and symmetrical, Crystal Scar was just an easy fit for this. It was too big though, initially, just the size for the kind of 5v5 feeling or gameplay that we wanted to get. It was just too big and too broad, and people you never saw each other, and there wasn't enough fights and there wasn't enough action. So we crimped the map and shortened it to the one that you guys are playing today for Ascension. But yeah, it's definitely a gameplay feel that we're aiming for first, and then we were looking for what fit with that.
We ran quite a few experiments early on. I remember one of the early experiments, the map was even smaller than what we ended up with.
Yeah.
It was intense, but it raised its own set of issues. And
I remember before we had the Black Shadow to block people from going on the edge, there was a quote-unquote gentleman's agreement to don't go outside the map while we're testing, and gentleman's agreements never work. Is the
I
moral of that
totally
story.
violated that.
Because when you're fighting someone, whatever it takes to kill them. People would go outside the space. It was terrible. So yeah, we tried versions with only one concentric circle to settle on 3 for good objective control. It's got better flow, encapsulates the speed pads. It just sort of worked, balanced and nice.
I mean, just the amount of different positionings we tried for the relics, for the speed pads, for the health boosts.
Yeah, I remember when the relics were just floating in the middle of nowhere on the sides. And I remember the relics, did we ever try more than 3? I feel like we tried 5 at one point.
Yeah, we tried. We started with 5.
It was.
Well, they used to do different things too, and there was so much iteration on this mode.
I mean, it
hardly looks like our first vision of it at all.
They never
You know,
do though. I mean,
Yeah,
the-
there were no special snowflakes for this mode. Everybody
Version-
got ideas to the
Version 1 of every mode never looks like the final version we come out with. This people maybe don't realize. I mean, in game dev in general, there's just so much iteration that goes on, and what you first think is probably going to be fantastic and fun almost always turns out to be absolutely wrong. It takes a lot of iteration and a lot of prototyping to finally settle on things that are balanced and fun and give the kind of gameplay that you're looking for.
How many
Sometimes it doesn't take much to ruin a good idea.
how many
Yeah.
playtests would you guys feel like we did before we got like a solid direction and feel for it?
At least 50.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, we play at least every day, once or
Several
twice
times
a day, and then, I mean, yeah, it would be probably at least 50 playtests and iterations of different versions before we finally settled on the one which felt fun.
So-
And at the end of the playtest, instead of everyone arguing about what was wrong with it or what needs to be changed, everyone's just arguing about their build or about strategy, which is usually a good sign.
So basically, making tweaks, playing again, making more tweaks
Yeah,
or changes. Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
ripping out whole systems, putting in new ones.
with long bouts of long conversations in between.
Oh, that
Yeah.
Kazakhs! I'll pretend like I didn't see that. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, you'd be pleased to know that our blue team, we've actually brought it right back. The early game, it was looking pretty dire. It was at about 15-5 at one point, but we're now back to a pretty even 32-30, which
Oh,
is
nice.
which is a good effort. The Rengar quadra kill early on had me worried. Which brings me to another question that came in
Ringo knows
from,
what's up.
from Jilt in our community. Jilt asks, when game modes are in the creation process, or when this one was, were the dominant champions of Dominion looked at for balancing, or was kind of balance thrown in the air like Earth and deal with the kind of the OP champions after you release it and you see what the meta comes out like?
Well, for one, this isn't Dominion in many respects, and so we didn't expect any strong correlations to be really useful tools in this specific case. I think. I mean, we again with the multiple playtests that we did, we came up with like ideas of what we felt were going to be some interesting strategies, explored those, found counters to them, and so think we ended up with a fairly good overview of what we expected most champions to be like. But obviously, there's always going to be surprises when it's in the hands of the community.
I think the
Yeah,
current,
exactly right.
I think the current dominant, or slowly becoming dominant champion selects is what we also experienced in champ select. I think initially everyone was really big on the assassins until they discovered the glory that is Bruzy tankers, and they just really don't care if you're a Kali or Katarina. They'll just
And then we
all
just
there.
started banning Maokai every match.
Yeah, and then Maokai was getting banned every match because we have a really good Maokai player on our team, so we had to deal with that problem. Yes.
I still relive those moments sometimes. That hurt.
Yeah, his Maokai is just
God.
ridiculous. You could have banned him.
I've certainly seen a lot of banned Malphite in the OCE server, so that's something that they've put onto here as well.
Yeah.
There's actually a surprising number of Rengars jumping around with all of the brush.
Yeah, so I mean it was fun to have so much viability on such a wide range of champs because of the short line of sight with the Fog of War, because of the brushes, because of the small skirmishing spaces. That's one of the things we were really excited of seeing is like once we give it to the community who like is way better players than us.
Oh, and here we go. We're on to the Ascension buff. We've got a team fight going down right on top of it, and it is anyone's guess as to who actually ascended then. It looks like
Certainly one way,
Kudos
though.
Inc. Has ascended, so we'll see what happens. The blue team is currently trying to take them down. A very short-lived Ascension there. So around the Ascension fights, around picking Xerath specifically, what made you guys decide, like, yes, let's go with Xerath and let's make him super powerful right in the middle of the map? Obviously, that's like kind of one of the core features here. So what was the design process and the thinking process there?
So mechanically, Xerath is, as people probably noticed, sort of similar to, I guess, what you might call a Doombot. He doesn't exactly follow the rules of regular Xerath. but story-wise, I think there's a really interesting story to be told, or for players to sort of experience part of the Shurima story with Xerath and the Ascension in the middle of the map. So that was definitely a big factor for me, is that he fed into the story that was being told pretty nicely, and he plays the part of the villain really well.
Definitely. I mean, for me, I was a big proponent of like having another EDE element at the center of the map to try to create those moments where both teams are kind of vying for the same objective, and timing is everything, and then it becomes about when do you actually trigger that scenario, as opposed to just blindly going to kill Xerath every time he's up. Because you can do that, and it ends up kind of being a coin flip every time, and that's not the most satisfying. But we've seen many teams take different approaches to Xerath and take him when either they are dominant or use him literally just as bait. And I think that creates some really interesting dynamics between the two teams at a higher level than just the skirmishing that obviously is kind of the focus for this mode.
Really good teams I've seen, they don't contest the fight for Xerath. They shut out the other team and never let it become a fight at Xerath. They only take him after like a 3-4 kill or an ace or something. So there's, they take all of the chance out of it, essentially.
Yeah, so we've got another Ascended roaming map now. This time it looks like a Ascended Kazakhs who is wreaking havoc here. So one of the questions that I just wanted to come back to, because it did come up a couple of times in the thread, is about champion balance and more in general in these kind of featured game modes. Is it something that gets considered in the same way that champion balance does when you're considering Summoner's Rift? Or is it really just that case of like, well, we'll make a fun game mode, and if something happens to really turn bad or get overpowered, we'll just disable it later?
So, I mean, no game mode is put out without any balance done at all. I mean, even Earth had specific balancing changes with switching champs off at the start. Ascension as well, we made the changes to Nunu and Cho'Gath because we identified them early as being basically toxic. You could guarantee smite kill on Xerath straight away, so we still wanted to let those champs be able to burn Xerath really quickly, but just not, perma-guarantee getting Ascended every time. So the modes definitely have balancing which goes into them before they come out, because personally, for me, is every single champion needs to be viable or available in the mode for you to really have fun. Because if you're, really into champion X and you're like, oh, sorry, they got turned off, then that's kind of a bit of a shame, I guess, if you're into that champ. So we definitely try to make it that if any balancing change is needed, everything is available and viable at least.
Well, I think you can also make a mode really not fun if you miss one of those two. Like if a champion just is overly dominant, then it kind of ruins the champion pool for the rest of the champs.
We found that with Nunu in the playtests, remember?
Yeah, Nunu and Cho'Gath too.
We played Nunu one game and he got 3 out of 4 Ascensions and you just couldn't stop him basically.
Yeah, and we had that happen in Earth too, where we really tried for Rise and Kassadin, and we weren't able to find a good way to make them in the game and still make it fun for everybody else too. So
I think one of the advantages of being a feature game mode though is that because the modes are only on for around 2 weeks at a time, it lets us be really experimental with the kind of gameplay that we're looking for, because we don't need to devote as much time into the balance as, say, the live design team or the live guys who have like an entire team devoted to balancing the whole of League of Legends. Because Summoners Rift, we don't have to worry about that. And then whenever we do decide to bring modes back, after we incorporate feedback and look at the data from the community and that sort of thing, then we can make tweaks and changes to hopefully make it even more fun the second time it comes around.
Yeah, a good example in Ascension of a balance tweak, which is I think subtle and that most players might not pick up on, is that big blast that Ascended does when you become Ascended, either Xerath or the Ascended person. basically, this is to prevent one of the abuse cases that we found really early with champions like Heimerdinger. You could literally, as Xerath spawn, just pepper the entire place and burn him down extremely quickly by doing a lot of setup work.
Yeah, Shaco boxes would just fear him as soon as he comes out of it, and then he would just get burned.
And so that's part of the rationale why there's this massive pushback. I mean, it solves a number of problems, but originally that was a solution for that specific case.
This Kazakhstan machine is real.
Yeah, dude, he's wrecking face.
This guy's playing promos is a serious business.
Well, when you're playing against Riot OCE, it's serious business for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I see is rioters getting murdered.
This is. Oh my god, that Rengar does so much damage. Rengar just blew him up.
Yeah, so maybe coaches talk us through what's going on in the game at the moment. What's the key strategy that you guys are looking for as you? The scores are actually even right now, 120 all.
It's definitely going back and forth, man. But it is a bloodbath. Basically, I'm like, if I see them, I'm out.
Good, working as designed.
I'm seeing the huge movement play going down right now, though.
Yeah, got to jump in there with your bandage, bust that ult, man. And if you miss that bandage, don't be ashamed to throw a flash in there and then get that ult down.
How many bandages would you say you miss?
I don't know. I don't like to focus on that number, really. We're going to put it on percentage-wise. I'm shooting at least 50-50.
60% of the time it works every time?
There we go. I like that math. Oh, man. So right now they've got a huge Zed. Ascended Zed is not fun. He is a beast. Oh, my gosh. That's a double kill.
And some taunting going on too.
Oh,
yeah, there's a little bit of that.
And you guys are gonna give them the perfect Ascension icon if you're not careful.
Oh wow, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
We have not been ascended yet.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to wait.
that would be very generous of you.
You guys gotta either on
so.
stream.
Yeah.
Getting perfected by the other team.
Or are you
I
going to
agree.
make them earn it?
No, that would be very generous of us. So, yeah, I like that. That's right.
That's one way to look at it.
That's how it would work. We're not trying to get ascended.
Or win.
But,
That
while
explains
we're at
it
it,
then.
coaches, if you could remind us of the official live services team motto that we have going.
All right. So we play as a team. So either they get aced or we get aced, but nobody lives. If you lived, you weren't with your team.
That's grim. Oh.
There's an interesting question in the Twitch chat. Like, what would happen if both teams try to capture a relic and they're both at 197? Well, thankfully, in video gaming world, having actual simultaneous events is virtually impossible. But I'm sure James would be able to make that happen for us when we need it.
You cancel the channel if the other team's channeling anyway, don't you?
Yeah, but if you're channeling
Well, you
two
can
different
channel on
relics,
two different
Oh,
relics.
it's like 2 different relics. Yeah, good point.
That's when the timing. That's when it comes down to timing.
Yeah.
That's when the extra MS made all the difference.
Assuming that
Yeah,
you
it
did it at the exact same second as the other, I'm assuming it would be like crossing the streams in Ghostbusters.
1 second is a gigantic piece of
Yeah,
time.
I was gonna say
need to
it would
be-
have to
That
be the
said-
same frame.
It would have
I
to be
actually
like,
have seen screenshots of games that finished 200 to 200.
wow, but someone else still won because they
Yes,
obviously
because
actually
the-
started the channel before.
Yeah.
Exactly. Somebody started first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through a slew of interesting tests regarding win conditions and
Yeah.
zombies.
Oh,
Man.
Yorick.
Oh yeah, your epic.
I don't even want to talk
zombie-
about zombies.
zombie
I hate
bug
those.
fix.
Oh, Yorick. This
Yeah,
Zed, man.
that
This Zed is
poor
taunting
Yorick.
hard.
Oh.
This Zed is spending too much time.
So that makes for all this talk of Zed makes for a good personal question. What's your most feared champion on Ascension mode at this
Most
time?
feared to be
Oh, man.
against, or
Against.
who you think is the strongest?
And then Maokai.
Yeah, man. For me, it's Yasuo. The wind walls just block There's so many narrow corridors on this map that a well-placed wind wall can just shut everything that you're trying to do down for so long. Yeah, Yasuo is probably my #1 ban.
I'm usually playing him, so I don't mind, but for me it's Jax is just a beast. Because Jax is just, I mean, if you're a 1v1 auto-attacking jeweler, then Jax is just destroys.
Yeah, cause Jax.
Yeah,
That's really all
because
you gotta
Jax.
say.
Yeah, because Jax.
And, I mean, the Ascended buff, he's one of the few champs that really benefits hard from
And
both the AP
Cochise
and
has officially denied the perfect Ascension item. We now have a giant little knight
wow.
running around the map.
Rats.
Good job, guys.
I'm running for my life, man.
Just cry those little tears.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've got no friends, and I'm happy with that. I'm just gonna stick to myself. Nothing to see here, anybody.
Infinite
Oh, yeah.
mana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Time
really?
to cry all
Yeah,
over the place.
infinite
Yeah.
mana.
Infinite
The tears
mana.
on.
I could get those tears going. There we
Keep
go.
the waterworks falling.
Yeah, just switch it
That's
on and leave it on. And you got 25% CDR as well. And you have 15% magic pen, 15
man.
armor pen, AP and AD per level, HP per level.
It's awesome having you guys here. I didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, it's all there on the tooltip.
It's all the, it's
Yeah,
on the
man.
buff tooltip.
Yeah.
I'm super strong.
Yeah, you are really strong.
I think most of my team's dead right now, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue
Yeah.
running around hiding.
It helps if
You gotta do
You
that.
can't
You
hide.
can't really hide.
Oh!
you,
Yes.
Oh, they
should be
found me.
visible in all cases.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Ascendants have perfect vision. Like, you can see them no matter what.
yes.
So you mean if I'm playing Timo to his strengths and trying to play a ward, they'll still be able to see me?
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Interestingly,
If you
you'll
are
still,
ascended, yeah.
you'll still enter stealth. You're just revealed.
Yeah,
It's
you could just,
complicated.
yeah. We can still see you.
Yes.
I mean, part of the, when we were testing it, it kind of made sense. Like, you have this gigantic sunbeam, god rays, you're basically a walking disco. It wouldn't really make sense if you could hide in a bush.
There's no god rays coming from that bush.
It's a huge Cho with a massive, like, rave party following him. And you're like, I wonder where he went. It's,
So we're up to it's 195 to 172. You guys have really pulled it back somehow.
What do you mean somehow?
They're focused on just trying to close it, close the deal.
Yeah, they're going for the Ascension kill as well. And there you go. 5 points for killing the Ascended. Well done, gentlemen.
There's a good question in the chat here from Sassy the Sasquatch. So is there a reason you chose Xerath to respawn 30 seconds after the Ascendant has died instead of a kill the Juggernaut type game mode? We did actually try a kill the Juggernaut type game mode during our prototypes. It was one of the first things we tried, where the buff transferred player to player instead of resetting in the middle. And we found that it was actually fairly lackluster gameplay for Ascension. It didn't lead to many interesting like peaks and valleys in like the tension curve of the game. So we tried some different stuff and eventually settled on what we have now. But we did try that. We tried that for a while actually because we were so sure that it would be fun. And eventually we were like, you know what, this is just...
Like, if I remember correctly, one of the key things that just did not work is it made everybody run away. and there was just something so depressing about being this big shiny guy who had this big incentive to just run away.
all powerful, and while you're all powerful, all everyone was doing was kiting. We're like, well, that's not very cool. So
But yeah, that's exactly the type of thing that doesn't necessarily come readily when you're just spitballing ideas and try to come up with something interesting, but become really obvious once you actually try to implement and go through the motions of playing it. Nothing quite like it.
Yeah, I think that's what's so valuable about us being able to do quick iterations and playtest after playtest, day after day, because that's how that stuff evolves. Like, especially seeing the process firsthand, it's really cool how something changes and evolves, and how an idea from 2 weeks ago changes and evolves into what we have now as you're going through the development process. It's really cool to see.
Teemo shrooms everywhere. There was no... Someone... Did they ban Teemo? Or... You gotta let Teemo through. Teemo's awesome.
I heard Cochise was going to play Timo in the second game.
I get banned from Teemo in every playtest. All the guys ban him. It's like,
For good reason.
yeah, it was not okay. It might be like extremely powerful, but other than that,
I used to think Timo was cute, and now I've played with you. Now I
no.
hate him.
Yeah, I'm a Timo main top, so I'm that guy.
What's ranked experience like for you when you're playing Teemo top?
You get freelo. No, I'm not that good. So I mean, obviously you win some, you lose some. But yeah, it's usually the people saying, "Oh my God, what are you doing top?" And then when you get first blood at like a minute 50, like, okay, carry on.
So
Alright.
one of the things that people are interested to hear. Oh, we've got another selection to do.
Yeah, we just want to go ahead and get this lobby filled up real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but we got a few names we want to draw for our second and final game of the evening. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for helping us get that much needed win. We finally got a 1 over there.
All right, the first community member is Heartvine.
Heartvine. All right. There we go. All right, invite sent. Let's go to the next one.
All right. The next one is
Heartvine is in the game.
Occasionally Dead.
Wow.
Sounds like you, coaches.
Occasionally.
Well,
That was a terrible joke. I'll stop saying jokes.
thanks. We've been trying to do that for the
I'll
last
do
6 months.
Do everybody that favor.
Oh, occasionally is actually already in a game, unfortunately.
Hey, Mindstar, see if you can find somebody in the Twitch chat to join our game. Or anybody, if you guys got a good question from somebody, we can get them in the game too.
Sorry, I couldn't find my push to talk key there, so that was a little bit of a disaster. Yeah, hey Twitch, who wants to join? Put your summoner name in. We'll start picking someone random.
I just sent out an invite to Jilt. You have been invited. And the next one is Hermit XD.
All right.
Now online, invite sent.
I tell you what, we only got a few more names in this hat, so let's just go ahead and crank through these, and let's get some from Twitch, and we'll give everybody first come first serve at this point.
All right, we have Denro.
We've got Duco.
Oh, Denrobe is already in a game.
Imagine
Duco,
that.
D-E-W-C-O. Looks like the first Twitch one to respond.
What was that name again?
D-E-W-C-O.
D-E-W-C-O. There it is.
Invite sent. And last one from the hat, I think, or second last from the hat is Crusader Charlie.
All one word, I think. There we go.
Invite sent.
And Duco was actually in the hat,
Alright.
so that worked out.
There we go. That was lucky for Duco. We're still waiting on some people to join, though.
Yeah, we got a couple. Ha! Crusader Charlie just jumped in the in-game lobby and said to Meltix, "Hey, babe, what's happening?" That's interesting.
Oh, hold on a minute. Can we replace Duco? He's Master Division 1.
You guys need to have your heads pulled in after the last game, so I think it'll be fine.
I think I speak for all the community when I say I would like to see that.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
We had a challenger in the last community game, and that was entertaining.
We'll be right.
Alright. So Mindstar, we actually need 2 more people.
Okay, so Toasty with a 0, T0ASTY.
Please don't be platinum.
Invite has been sent.
And there's
wow,
Toast.
There's a lot of streaming past. What about I am Cody? That's nice and easy to spell. With spaces. There you go. Oh, wow.
Bam. Invite is sent to I am Cody.
Just in case he doesn't get in, we could try, let's see.
What about Skip to My Lulu? That's a cool name.
Yeah, skip to my Lulu. There we go.
Skip to My Lulu. Let's do that one. Yes.
I think that's my favourite name so far of all the names I've seen.
I was thinking of you, Zaps, when I saw that name. Funnily enough,
It's awesome.
I would actually
Mandarin.
like to see. I'd like to see a Lulu in this, and this might be a question because I don't know the answer to this to the Ascension guys. What happens if Lulu ults someone who's already big and is ascended?
They get bigger.
Do they? What if it's like Nasus or someone that's
Bigger.
already big
Bigger.
and altered?
Bigger.
Oh wow!
Compounding size.
Why not? Because it's fun.
Bigger
You
things
can never
are
be
better.
too big.
So we were discussing another theory in the office today, and I don't know the answer again to this one. If you are permanently visible as ascended and you're nocturne and you ult someone and the map goes dark, do you see like this bright shining nocturne just flying at you across a dark map?
James,
You do not.
did you test that?
Well, I don't remember. We tested a lot of that stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't believe that you do. Nocturne's ult actually cancels out True Sight as well. Like you'll notice that on turrets and
That's what I
things
recall
like
too.
that. So
I think that's
yeah,
one
more
of the
than likely, I would
rare
guess
case.
that his ult would actually cause you to lose vision of the ascended.
So is that a bug? Should he be a flying disco?
No, I believe we actually, if I recall correctly, we
The
actually had
dawn
that
has
conversation,
arrived.
and
Lady
we
Lucky
chose to
Smiley.
not completely gimp his ult.
Okay, to not make him a flying disco.
That would be terrifying, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait, I don't
It's
think
ju-
it's a bug, but maybe he should be a flying disco.
A giant Lulu altered flying disco nocturne coming at me across the map. I'd wet myself.
Nocturne brings the party.
He does indeed. So while we're waiting for the game to load, we're just going through champion select at the moment. It looks like we've got.
What doesn't kill you
who have we
will
got?
bring them.
Welcome to the
Morgana,
Let's
Twitch,
Do
no?
This.
No? Toxic Hawk, lock in, please. No. Okay, so we've got Jax, Lulu, Rise, Quinn, and Nautilus. Coachy's bringing out the Nautilus.
Yeah, it's been way too long. Hopefully Nautilus is an OP champ on Ascension. If anybody has any thoughts on that?
Hopefully.
I know what one of our QA guys on the play team would say, because he loves Nautilus.
Yeah,
Nice.
one of our QAs is not Nautilus main.
Ah,
I look forward to
great
making
hear.
Kochisi large. That's what I'm going to say.
All I'm going to say is it doesn't matter what champion you play, they're not OP.
Wow.
Oh.
Ah,
Wow.
and they say teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Well,
Well, there goes the dream.
There's
Why?
a
That's why his
there's a
hair's
good
green.
question in the chat from Knuckles there. Alex, can you see that one?
Oh yeah, so I'll ask it. It's so he's asked, why did you cut some of the map off and use a teleport rather than take another strategy like letting people walk into the middle of the map from where they spawn?
There's a number of different reasons. First of all, we talked about a little earlier for the tempo and for the intensity that we wanted for this mode. Going with the full map clearly was not getting us the result we were wanting for what we're trying to achieve. And so when we started experimenting with smaller scales and got some success and found the fun, then we had to deal with the problem of how do we actually get the players there. We still wanted to keep the shop and the base where they were. These, they're landmarks. They're useful. And very quickly, we just tried to experiment with teleporting. We implemented a couple of different ways you can teleport, and I'm not sure that everybody's necessarily clued into all of them. But yes, you can use the trinket, so you can press 4 and then click on one of the platforms in the map. You can also use the mini-map for that. You can also just right-click on the platforms themselves, either on the mini-map or on the map itself, to directly teleport to them. And to us, that gave us like the quick, you're safe at base, but I can quickly jump into the action within a couple of seconds, and it helped, it allowed us to keep the highly, much more intense map with the smaller radius.
Basically, when we were playing, walking out of your base to the fight is not fun. That's 15 seconds of your life you want back. And trying to find a bush somewhere to hide and teleport home, that's not fun. It was just too much time not fighting and killing each other, which, as Alex pointed out, kind of defeated the point of the mode. So.
Well, and there was also one of the early kind of exploits that we found was people would get ascended and then just walk back to their base. And so making it so that you could walk into the map but not out of it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was there were some interesting tests there.
Yeah, so cutting the base off entirely just made it a lot more understandable.
The terrible thing too would be people doing that thinking that they're somehow going to exploit the map, but actually just condemning their team to a 4v5 loss.
Right.
All right, so we're onto the map now, and immediately we've got a bit of a fight happening bottom, and a big train of blue heading top left to start off, and before coming and joining the point. What kind of strategy did you guys have in mind, or did you really just leave it open when you were thinking about the kind of 2 teams and 3 points thing? Was it just a good number to have to create interesting tactics, or?
So the balance is designed to try and it should be a higher layer of sort of objective play over the top of the team fighting and skirmishing. We identified really early that hey, 5v5 fighting each other in the jungle is really fun. That's no surprise, but it can get really monotonous by itself. It just doesn't have any. Again, it doesn't have any good peaks and valleys in the tension curve, and it just doesn't make for good game design. So we needed to have higher objectives to direct the flow of play, and also to give you some cool strategic options, so that if you're losing in one area as a single dude, you can still go and have great impact somewhere else on the map. And 3 with Xerath in the middle turned out to be kind of the right recipe.
I mean, also through iteration, one of the things we kind of stumbled upon is realizing relics actually served a couple of different purposes. They're obviously, an objective, they're a source of points, but they're also a great focus for fights.
As I'm just watching now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so as we play around with these elements, we try to limit, to a degree, what we expect them to do and experience them. And once we hit on combinations that resonate, and we can clearly see that there were multiple ways of actually dealing with that objective, then we know we're onto something. The most interesting playtest is when most people find a different way of approaching one of the objectives that we put on the map, because we don't actually have many preconceptions of how this should be used yet. We tried to figure that out by playing, because that's exactly how players will be experiencing this, right?
Yeah. The person who's picked Poppy, well done, sir.
Poppy's
that's a savvy player.
Balls everywhere.
And then there's the Jax, though, to be fair. I mean,
personally, I'm interested to see what comes out of our master tier, Master Yi.
Oh, is there a master tier Yi on the other team?
Oh, sad.
See that. Just lock that up when you see it. Don't let him help us try.
Well, it's going well so far for the Riot team. We're up 28-13 to start with, so the Yi will have some catching up to do. But once he starts getting rolling,
critical items. See what happens.
Yeah.
It looks like the Yi's really just focused on running around and taking some of those capture points away from the fight. So he's obviously just trying to bide his time and maybe get some points in while he levels up.
That was great. Lulu just said no, bad Yi.
Clavenmore raises an interesting question regarding people stealing Ascension from the base. There's very few champions that can actually do that. Ezreal is definitely one of them. We're aware of it. I mean, to me, this is an example of something that you might think would be a good abuse case, and then you tried to abuse it, and then really nothing happens. Because again, like we said before, you're just condemning your team to 4v5 for the rest of the game, and
we think
this game mode does not support that very well.
We think of all those sorts of is there a way this can lead to an unfair advantage? And if we, after months of playtesting, can't think of a way, or we don't find a way for it to be, then we're happy to let it go.
Yeah, it's also one of those things too where we try to balance a lot of that stuff out. Like, if we know that there's going to be an exploit and it's going to take pulling in some of the champ guys and having this huge fix for code or for a specific skill, then we'll try to find other creative ways around it, right?
Yeah, for example, I mean, the reverse of that won't be true. Like, you can't TF ult back to your base. And that's completely voluntary.
Pantheon as well.
Because that would allow you to regenerate while you're ascended. And again, I think we've clearly shown that we didn't want the Ascension buff to be something that just sustained your life, because then that would lead to one Ascension per game.
Yeah. Poppy totally just baited Jax.
Yeah.
Toxic Hawk, is that you?
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, that's definitely the Jax on Toxic Hawk. They're doing all right though. They're still. I mean, we're seeing a pretty even team fight actually go down right now, and the Years decided to enter affairs. He's been shut down, but it's not boding well for the blue team. They're off to a good start, but
Braum is a good pick too. Braum is great for defending when you've got the buff. Some good picks.
Yeah, some really interesting picks in this one, I think. One of the other questions it came up on the forums, and I've been dying to ask actually, is on the topic of revising game modes for the future, and we turn this on for a couple of weeks and put it in the pocket and see what we do with it next. Is there ever any thought of combining the game modes together? So could we do let's say Hexakill Ascension Earth mode? And I guess that's not a question that's directly like, hey, can we do this? But it's just like, do you guys go through that process of exploring crazy ideas like this?
So, I mean, each game mode is built to be enjoyed or balanced in its own sort of its own pocket. What can I say? So, I mean, technically anything's possible, obviously. I mean, it's all just programming, so anything is doable, but we want to make sure that each game mode has its own unique identity and it encourages its own unique playstyle. I think it'd be unfortunate if you ended up playing different game modes in almost exactly the same way. We kind of want people to still play the champions that they love and enjoy, but have to play them differently every time we release one of these game modes. So yeah, I think say for example Ascended Earth Hexakill, that would probably just play like Earth. So
I think being that this is also a live service stream, there's a component to the live service with hardware requirements and what can the servers run versus what would cause them to melt an entire IDC. And the way that we design a lot of the modes, it's we push a lot of that stuff. We push how much the servers can do.
We break the game more than pretty much anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And
thanks for that, guys.
Yeah, and we have to be super cautious of it because we really can't break live services if we don't engineer the game well, or if we put too many things in it, or too many things that cost from the client side or cost from the server side. And yeah, we don't want that. We want it to be a good experience, not one that breaks the live service.
Oh, and the ace coming out from the red team now, that Yi was melting face there.
What happens to Shaco clone if he gets the buff? I think the clone is still regular size and regular looking, and Shaco is a walking disco.
And if Shaco clone kills Xerath, then Shaco will
gets
get the buff.
Yeah, because it counts as
just it's the same as red or blue buff.
Oh, Black Blizzard MC had an interesting question that I saw scroll past a while back that I wanted to chime in on. He wanted to know if there are any of us actually watch YouTubers and gamers. I just want to call out that, especially when we're on PBE, I will lurk in as many Twitch
Everything.
channels every night for hours.
I watch everything.
I will comb the YouTubes, for videos for PBE and full release on a daily basis. Yeah, we consume your content religiously.
I read every comment on every video and every Twitter stream for every thread.
This is true. He actually invented a time machine. So
yeah, I have that much time in the day to read all of the internet.
That's awesome.
Part of it for me is like player feedback is the most valuable feedback we can get, and having everyone playing on live, it's seeing what all of you guys think about the stuff that we're doing is the best way to help inform what we do for the next mode each time. So totally, we're not making modes for us, we're making them to play with everybody. So as much feedback as possible.
Well, not just for us.
Well, yeah.
Serious.
I enjoy playing Ascension, but yeah.
I love coming into the office right after we've turned something on PBE or live, because Rowan has this like grab bag of awesome clips that he's found through his hours of hunting on like Twitch or YouTube.
3 a.m. not getting any sleep.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's awesome because we definitely look at all the different stuff that gets made and created and posts and comments.
Honestly, I think one of the high points of my career was having Instalock make a song for Doombots.
That was pretty cool. Those guys, they threw down. So there's a question there from Swift Spice. Would you ever make a permanent ranked version of one of the more fun modes if it were popular, balanced enough? We kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, but one of the advantages to the feature game modes is that they are temporary. And because they're temporary, it lets us be a lot more creative and experimental with what we're doing, because we don't need to worry about balancing it for like a long... Jax is immortal confirmed. Yeah, that person's correct. We don't have to worry about like sort of balancing or ensuring like long health of as a Q type. And that's the reason we can do things like Earth and Doombots and Ascension and all the other modes. If we did have to do that, we would need like an entire team to balance it, kind of the way you balance Summer's Rift or whatever, and we would need to continually like update and do maintenance for it every patch that comes out. And it would severely limit the kind of things that we could do and the kind of fun experiences we could make. So probably not anytime soon. I think we would be doing that.
That's a really good one, and that actually leads into an interesting question that was asked on the forums from Colonel Wong, who asks, how long does it take for a featured game mode like this to actually go through the full process, from the idea of like, hey, let's try and have a giant dude in the middle of a map and play around with that, to actually getting it out to a state that it can, yeah.
Not all modes are created equal.
Yeah. Some modes take longer than others,
and some are a labor of love that you just can't stop working on.
Do you ever have the case where you have modes that you actually have to throw away, like you kind of go through a few iterations of development and then realize, hey man, this isn't fun, or something like that?
There is definitely things which have been tossed out as you just pointed out, they just weren't fun after we played with them, and you need to, at some point, just drop it and move on and try something else. As far as how long modes take, I'm trying to think in terms of like, at least a couple of months.
Yeah.
At
that
least.
range.
It's pretty quick in terms of, like, it's much quicker than like other content potentially. But then, sometimes nothing comes out of, or like no fruits come out of the labor, and we have to start again, and a mode can take a bit longer than we thought.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on the goal of the mode, like what we want to achieve, right? Like, for Ascension, we wanted to try a bunch of new things. Like, this is the first time we had ever tried to reskin a HUD. This is only the second time that we've created a totally unique scoring element in a featured game mode.
This is the closest to like a completely new game type that I think the play team has ever done.
Yep.
Others are usually sort of a twist or a take on an existing type of gameplay. This is probably the first time we've like sought out to create like a completely different type of game, essentially.
Yep, and it takes just more iteration.
For Goomrocks in chat, are we Oceanic developers, or how does that all work? So we're the play team. We're based in NA. We're in California, and we're the team that make all of the different featured game modes. So we made One for All, Earth, Snowdown, Doombots, Ascension, so all that sort of thing.
But I can see his confusion because...
Yeah, because I'm Australian. So.
Rowan is Australian.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, we are NA based.
We actually have do have a few token Aussies and Kiwis lurking around the world in Riot, which is it's great to see.
We got more than a few. I think like half the programming team is Australian.
Yeah, man.
It's Spot the American in the programming team.
Yeah.
But we loaned the Sydney office stuff.
Oh my god! Did you
Coaches.
see what Jax just did to that Quinn?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's how I
Oh,
roll.
and then Lulu.
Jax being Jax.
Yeah, Jax is wrecking face here. It's pretty good to see. It was even for a while there, but we're now back out to a pretty significant lead. The Riot team might actually bring this back to 2-2 with the community if they keep this up.
It was even for a while there, and then Jax happened.
Yeah.
Because Jax.
Yeah, he's busy doing his thing again right now. He's just melted Poppy.
Question there from Soul Stealer. So if Na got the buff and his ult, will any of his big Na spells have a bigger AoE? Alex, you can really answer that one. For me.
just like we're being consistent with all the size increase rules, and so nobody's powers actually scale with their size. I may be incorrect. Maybe Zach has some scaling based on his health. I'm not too sure, but general rule, the range of your skills don't scale up with your scale. So the same applies to Ascension. It would be problematic in many cases if we had scaling powers.
Black Blizzard MC asking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, James.
Well, I was gonna say that again goes to kind of like what people were asking about balancing, because we did at first. I think the extended buff gave you made you way bigger than it does now.
You were like double the size you are
Yeah,
now.
double or triple the size, and people's models would extend far past where the actual spell hit, and so there was a lot of balancing that we had to do there.
Well, there was a disconnect between player expectation and what was happening. So, for example, if you're Garen and you were spinning, it looked like your sword was going through someone, but you were actually doing no damage, and that's just really confusing.
Yeah.
Question there from Black Blizzard MC. Well, it's not a question, it's a point. Like, I'd love a champion with an Australian accent. We should just do a Bogan champion. And he's like, I don't know what we could even do. He's just got like a singlet and thongs, and I don't even know what his powers look like. I'm sure someone has done a champ kit somewhere that looks like that. It's like some random Bogan champ design. I would like to see that. Brian is telling us it should be a Crocodile Dundee champion, and I would say no, you're American.
No, it'd be perfect. You could tie in Renekton.
Yeah, I was gonna say we already have an Aussie champion.
No.
It's Crocodile Dundee Renekton.
Hey, would Pool Party Graves possibly fit in the Bogan bucket?
He's got too much
It's
swag.
got the singlet.
He's got too much swagger.
Too much swagger, yeah, I hear you.
There's too much swagger on that.
Good point, Milkman. But the effect scales. Not exactly sure. Actually, no, you're right. It does affect a larger area. So it basically Shogat's power will work the same way as if he was welted. It's kind of a good basic rule.
Swift Spice just put out a good question for the designers in the group. On development in general, how difficult is it to design game-related things in a way that no one is offended?
Takes awareness more than anything else, I guess.
So
this is actually a really good example of when the regional teams can help us a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like we get a lot of feedback from local teams saying like if there is something coming up that's going to be maybe not so well received, then the regional teams are really there to help us out with that.
Yeah, a good example of that. China, not culturally okay to have like skeletons. So when we did the Doombot's splash loading screen, we had to make sure about that. You know,
Carthus's face. Was,
yep, the Carthus's face was
the Chinese version of Carthus is different.
Yep. Yeah, so it's a lot of different stuff like that that we have to, you know, we always say think globally, and we really have to be able to make sure that nuances for different cultures and different regions throughout the world all can enjoy the game without being offended by it.
I will point out, to his point, with the game design though, when you're prototyping early on and testing, you definitely don't let anything stop you from trying out ideas. You try anything during early stages, and that's true for all types of game development, but specifically like quick, rapid like prototyping or rapid iterative prototyping. And then the sorts of things that you guys just mentioned will come in later. You know, we'll make sure that we're not like after the regional teams give us feedback that we're not stepping on any toes in the wrong places. But when you are developing it, you definitely don't let anything hold you back from finding something that might actually be really fun.
Yeah, I mean, in most cases, accommodating cultural differences isn't all that hard. Most of these things can you know, with the right context, you can kind of understand where people are coming from. And once you've been exposed to that context once, it's easy to keep it in the back of your mind and just, you know, avoid the obvious pitfalls. No, generally it's not that rough to deal with.
We seem to be approaching the end of this round. Yeah, 197 points plays 147. So if the blue team hold it together for just one more point capture, I think we should see the
get him a wife beater, some
although
phones, and a can of Vicky. I'm glad someone said
Jax actually wants to farm champions a little bit here before we end the game.
I don't know, the Yi just pulled a triple. The Yi's doing what he can. That Yi's fighting a good fight, but the problem is Jax. Oh, it's that you auto attack, Jax.
You've been jaxed. All right, well, we've got the victory screen up. It looks like the Riot team has actually managed to pull 2 from 2, drawing even with the community now. It seems
GG.
like SR might not be, Summoner's Rift might not be the thing for us, but Ascension certainly is.
Yeah, this game mode has definitely worked in our favor. I like this one. Yeah, wow. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, guys, over in NA, the dev team, and answering all of the questions from our community. I know everybody's really appreciated having you on and getting to hear from you.
Thanks for having us, guys, and for all the people in the stream as well. Thanks for asking some cool questions.
Yeah, those are good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thanks for playing.
And that was a pretty cool game to watch. That was,
yeah, GG.
It was all
that Jax. Yeah, that Jax.
Big surprise.
Poros, man. Poros everywhere. That's the most important thing.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for coming along. I think we're just about ready to wrap it up. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time.
Cool.
That's right.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome.
Cool.
Peace out,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Guys.
Thanks, guys. GG.
Cheers. See ya.
See ya.